And we are live. Hey everyone, it's Wednesday and I'm Duane Whitmer, which means it's time for another weekly Whitmer Wednesday. Ignore the sound my chair makes when I move around. It apparently, it's an older chair, so it crinkles when I move. But welcome. This week we're going to talk about an interesting topic, which is why a lot of these smaller grassroots and local movements fail a lot and in multiple different ways, multiple different reasons, and circle that into why direct action is great, um, why direct action works, why direct action is the way, why relying on politicians and political parties and the political class essentially is a poor decision. And really hope people read this or listen to this, pardon me, and understand that it's not necessarily a thing to say don't get involved locally or grassroots movements, but understand what's going to happen if you get involved in a grassroots movement and how the political class, politicians, whatever, are going to try to essentially sabotage it intentionally or unintentionally. That's what they're going to do. So we're going to jump in. Going to start my timer here. I like to keep these, like I said, short, around 15 minutes, because no one wants to hear anyone talk for hours. It's stupid and boring. So I like to keep these pretty short, 15 minutes, and we're going to really break things down. First thing, one of the biggest reasons why a lot of these local, small grassroots organizations and movements fail is because of resources. Jim Ostrowski, who's a mentor of mine, James Ostrowski, he's a lawyer, a mentor of mine, wrote some books. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't. He did a great speech at the Libertarian Party convention back in November where he talked about the cost of getting involved in activism. Most grassroots and local people, activists for ideas, they're spending money by getting involved in activism. What I mean by that is if I go to a rally, if I go to a meeting, if I go to an organizational structural meeting or go to a board meeting, it costs me money. I'm taking money out of my pocket. I'm not paid to be there. I'm not getting paid to show up. I'm volunteering my time, energy, and effort to do something. Well, the problem with that is the government knows this, and the government knows you got to work, you got to feed your kids, you got to take care of your kids. Your son's got a baseball game, your daughter's got dance class. They know that keeping you busy means you can't spend your time doing other things, which means you can't get involved with these movements and these things. So you see a lot of people come short term, they run out of time, they run out of energy, they run out of ability to show up at places like this. The resources is probably one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, why you see these movements fail is because nobody has time. You know, it's hard to spend money on something that may or may not benefit in the long run. You might not win, you might take an L, which we'll get at later. You might lose. So you're spending a lot of time, money, and energy for a losing cause. A lot of time, these small meetings, these small groups, they're in the minority. There's a minority group of people that believe in something or stand for something. They're vocal about it, which means that, you know, society's not throwing money at them. Other people aren't throwing money at them, which essentially means that the government has an unlimited supply of time, money, energy because they're paid. They pay their people. They pay their money. They essentially take tax dollars from you and give it to their friends and cronies and pay them to go to these things or you know, resist these things. The political class is paid to do this stuff. You're not, and they know that. If a politician goes to a meeting, he's paid, whether it's through the election and he's paid by being a politician, or he's paid to be there from donors. They're making money to do this stuff. You are not. And that's a huge problem with these grassroots movements, is that funding. And then the problem is if you get funding, you get bought out. If I accept funding from a group or an organization, am I entitled? Am I forced to believe what they believe in, follow what they're following, change my message, change my ideas? You know, do you get bought out? That's a huge issue. So a lot of these movements struggle because there's just no resources. There's no time, there's no money, there's no volunteers. And then to get it, you get bought out. Now you're going to be compromised. So that's a real big issue where a lot of these smaller groups are really struggling to get traction. The next thing is they get co-opted. And this is super common here in New York. We saw it with the SAFE Act, the gun movement. There were huge rallies, huge movements around the SAFE Act in New York. Then the GOP came in and said, well, if you just vote Republican harder, we're going to solve all your problems. Ignoring the fact that, and we can get more into why the GOP in New York sucks when it comes to guns. And why I truly believe it's their fault there's gun control. You say, that's crazy. It's the Democrats. The Democrats are evil. No, the GOP has lied down and licked the boots of the Democrats clean. And they're pretty complicit in a lot of the gun control you see in New York. We can always do a video on that later if it pisses anyone off. They want to hear more. But essentially, there's a movement, gets moving. A politician comes in and says, hey, idiots, vote for me. I'll solve your problems. You guys are too stupid to understand I'm nothing but a grifter. Give me your money. Give me your time. Help me get elected. And nothing happens. Like I said, you see with Republicans with guns, Republicans with homeschooling, Republicans with COVID. You see it with the Dems with legalization of cannabis, with sex work, with traffic cameras, with police surveillance, with essentially the anti-police sentiment. You see this on both sides of the party, both sides of the aisle, pardon me. Both parties do this. They find a thing that's kind of growing. It's gaining traction. There's people getting involved and fired up. And all of a sudden a politician says, well, if you vote for me, I'll just take care of it. And they don't take care of it because they don't give a shit. If you believe in a politician, is going to come save you, is going to help you, is going to work for you, you're a fool. And that's what they rely on. They rely on people. We'll get to this. We'll actually get this later. They rely on people not willing to be lazy, confrontational, or uncomfortable. And they know that, hey, if I just say I'm going to solve your problems, if you outsource your problems through me, I'll solve them. Vote for me. Vote harder. Problem solved. You can go to your kid's baseball game, and you don't have to worry about going to these meetings and these rallies. And that's really another big issue you got there. They get co-opted. The third thing, and this I can attest to this as a gun guy in New York State and as a third party guy in New York State and in the country, you don't win much. You're a small group. You're a small minority. You're outnumbered by apathetic people, by your opposition, by people who just don't care, by people who don't know, by people who just are too busy. Like I said, C1, the resource problem. People are too busy to get involved. People are too busy to listen to you. They're too busy to care. They're too busy to do anything, or they just don't care. They're just, what is what it is. Government probably knows best. And you lose a lot. You get your ass kicked a lot. And then you get frustrated because, again, back to the resource problem, you're not getting paid to do it. So you're taking money out of your pocket to be there, and then you take a loss. Well, now you're frustrated. You're pissed off. You're angry. You spend some more time, some more resources, and you lose again. Well, now you're like, well, screw it. I'm out. I'm done. This is a waste of my time. I'm out. And that's what the state relies on. That's what the opposition relies on. That's what the state relies on. Because you lose a little bit, then here comes the politicians to co-opt your movement, co-opt what you're doing. And now nothing's getting solved except they're getting election. They have the resources. They have the machine. You got nothing. You got bupkis. And that's what you see a lot. They take a lot of losses. They get discouraged. They get upset. They leave the state. They leave the area. They just give up. State has unlimited resources because they take unlimited tax dollars from us, the American tax-paying machine, their own little ATM. And they keep funding the jobs program that allows them to resist our movements. And that's what they do. The last thing is a big thing. Actually, we'll get another one. One issue that a lot of these movements have is that they're not willing to look past differences. They look for excuses. This is a manipulation game by the two parties. They look for excuses. They look for reasons. They look for, things that, well, you can't work with this person. This happens a lot in the Second Amendment community. A lot of these guys say, well, if you just vote Republican, it'll solve the problems. Well, don't solve any of our freaking problems. You're an idiot. A. B, a lot of people won't work with certain people because, oh, you believe that cannabis should be legal, or you believe this, or you're not a cop lover like I am. I can't. Well, then guess what? You got nothing. You're isolating the few supporters and the few allies you have over people that are never going to work with you. This is actually a problem I have with a couple smaller political parties. The LP does this sometimes. Some of our candidates do this, and it blows my mind. We isolate supporters chasing people who are never going to work with you or never going to care about you. And you see this all the time, especially in New York's gun community. You isolate potential supporters because, well, they didn't vote for your shitty candidate. Okay, great. Well, your shitty candidate didn't win and never has done anything to help gun control or gun rights, pardon me. Yet you're not going to support me because I didn't vote for your shitty candidate, who, by the way, your shitty candidate has now disappeared. This happens all the time with the GOP. Some shitbag will come run for office and say, I'll solve all your problems, loses, you never hear from them again. They get a job at the Board of Elections, the Water Authority, the Comptroller's Office. They get some bought-off job by the Republican machine to dupe you fools into losing time and energy for their losing campaign, then they just go away. They get paid, well, you get nothing. And you see that all the time. And you isolate these people based on minor differences to chase people who don't care about you. And then you wonder why nothing gets solved. And both parties do this big time in actually the legalized cannabis movement too. That had a big issue with that. A lot of people didn't work with each other because of small differences, and the state didn't care. The state did what they want, and these people stayed isolated. They stayed separate. They didn't unite, and it hurt them because the state has, like I said, step one, the state has unlimited resources, and your movements do not. And so you're getting divided, you're getting separated, you're getting bought off, and you're getting crushed. You're getting crushed, and that sucks. The last big one, it's a big one, is understanding, and it kind of parlays with people. You're chasing people never going to support you while pushing away allies. I've realized in doing this, a big chunk of the population is lazy and doesn't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to sacrifice. They want to share a meme on Facebook that says, I'm a hero, Black Lives Matter. But when it comes to actually supporting Black lives, they don't want to do it. You know, oh, it's not Columbus Day, it's Indigenous People Day. But when it comes time to fight for a tribe that's been wronged by the state, they don't want to do it. You know, oh, I don't support vaccine mandates, but when the Bills does it, they get vaccinated. And they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to give up anything. They don't want to sacrifice. They want to talk big, but when it comes time for action, they're not going to do it. They're going to make up an excuse. Well, you know, my dog got diarrhea, so I had to do it. Or, oh, my kids, you know. It's all bullshit. And it's just these people that, you know, these organizations chase after or try to get on their side. They're never going to come because they never want to be lazy. They want to be lazy. They never want to be uncomfortable. They want to be mad online, on Facebook, you know, get some likes, get some people liking their memes, some of their photos. They want to go to a rally and see their friends and say, I'm a hero. I'm at a rally. Woo! But when it comes time to actually live it, well, you know, my kid, oh, you know, the dog got diarrhea. Got to get my dog a haircut. Got to wash my hair. It's excuses. And that's the big problem, is that I don't think a lot of activists understand is that I would say 90% of the country follows in that, where they don't want to be lazy. They don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to be confrontational. They want to wake up, be mad about something, but really do nothing about it. Whatever's in vogue. White liberals like to be mad about BLM, but do nothing to help Black people. You know, Black Lives Matter, yet you're ignoring the mass systemic racism that is gun control. Because you know, also, you know, gun control is good because my kid might get shot at school and I'm scared. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to go without. So, you know, you're back to nothing getting done. These grassroots movement just failing. One big example I'm going to use, I'm going to end on a great example of this, is the Buffalo Bills. And it exposed both the left and the right. So it's a great example. In Western New York, you have the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills are a progressive politician's dream, because Poloncarz, our county executive, Cuomo, then Hochul, our governors, can come to Western New York and say, hey, look, all you dumb peons, Western New York lags behind the rest of the country in job growth. New York State is the least friendly business state, one of the highest tax states in the nation. Again, lagging behind in a lot of business, a lot of jobs. Western New York is like 10% behind average income for the area or something. Some study came out. I didn't read it. I just came across my feed. I didn't get a chance to read it. But essentially, the average salary in Western New York is in the shitter. Farmers are killing themselves, and no one knows why. Massive population loss to the point where we have to drag in migrants to come here so people live here. No one wants to work. No one wants to open a business. Businesses are going under left and right. Businesses are starting, then going under. People are just fleeing the area. So they have the Buffalo Bills as a table scrap for the peons. Hey, get drunk and forget you live in the shithole that is Western New York, run by the Three Stooges, which is Biden, Poloncarz, and Hochul, and just get drunk and watch the Bills. And if they win, feel good about yourself. Feel like you've done something, even though you've done nothing. Everything sucks. Your life sucks. You're super depressed. But hey, the Bills. So the New York State steals $500 million from the Senecas and gives it to the billionaire Pagulas and the billion-dollar empire that is the NFL to build a stadium. Now, white liberals who say that it's not Columbus Day, it's Indigenous People Day, and you shouldn't name your school the Warhawk, the Chief, or the, the fighting whatever. You should change your school name because that's offensive. Do not care that they took $500 million from the Senecas, money that was earmarked for rehab facilities, senior living facilities, money earmarked for addiction support and training their people that would actually help a impoverished area. This money was earmarked to actually help people in poverty. You took it from them and gave it to the NFL, a $1 billion organization, and the $1 billion Pagulas. But you can't be uncomfortable and not go to the Bills game, so you don't care. You don't give a shit. Now, Terry Pagula allegedly has said during the BLM issues, if black people aren't happy here, go back to Africa, which is, people would say is pretty racist. White liberals don't care. Why? Because they got to get drunk at the Bills game and hope that the Bills win so they can feel good about themselves. It's about not feeling uncomfortable. It's about sharing something on Facebook. Black Lives Matter. Okay, prove it. Well, it's hard. I shared a photo that says Black Lives Matter. I went to a rally and said, black people are cool. That's all that matters. It's not Columbus Day. It's Indigenous People Day. Well, prove it. Fight back for the Senecas. Stand with the Senecas that are getting ripped off by New York State. It's financial war crimes, if you ask me, but no one cares what I think. Fight with them. Well, it's kind of hard. It's complicated. It's not. New York State stole $500 million from the Senecas and gave it to the NFL and the Pagulas to help build the stadium. We essentially took money from the impoverished working class and gave it to the wealthy. You should be pissed if you hate the 1% and you don't think the rich aren't taxed enough. You should be pissed, but you don't care because you got the Bills. Same thing with the people on the right. Bills instituted a vax mandate. All these people went to a rally at the stadium, said, we'll never go to a Bills game again. How dare you make us second-class citizens where we can't go into the stadium if we're not vaccinated? How dare you institute a mandate? This is horse shit. I am pissed. All those same people are posting photos at Bills games. The machine knew if they waited you guys out, you would forget because you can't be uncomfortable. Both the left and the right. The system knows. No matter how pissed off you get, how mad they make you, how upset they make you, 90% of the population is afraid of being uncomfortable. And if they just wait you out, you'll go back. It sucks. It's frustrating to see. And now you're saying, well, Duane, you spent 17 minutes saying that these grassroots movements fail and they're tough. How do we solve it? It's easy. Direct action and relying on yourself. You can do things yourself. Stop relying on organizations. Stop relying on groups. Stop relying on politicians. Stop relying on assholes that don't really care about you. That really is what it comes down to. Find your community of people that are like-minded, like you. Work with them, support them, help them, stand by them. Stop chasing people that are never going to come your way. Stop believing that politicians give a shit about you. Make the lifestyle changes you need to make. Do what you can do yourself. And don't be afraid to be alone. You'd be surprised. It's terrifying at first. I made this mistake a couple of years ago when I kind of left a lot of political organizations and movements. And I said, I'm just going to do my own thing. And I'm going to live it. I'm going to do it. And if people want to come along, they can. I started doing the weekly Whitmer, talking about, why I'm doing this and trying to find people like-minded. It's going okay. People join in. I know full well that it's not going to be a big chunk of the population because most people believe the government's going to help you. The government's going to come for you. If we just vote a little bit harder, the government will support you. I need to find the people that don't believe that. I need to find the people that understand that the government is a criminal organization run by probably the worst society has to offer and is nothing but a grift scheme for the political class and jobs program. The sooner people realize that, the more we can build, we can grow, we can develop, we can work together. And that's where we're at. If you believe that the government is the solution, I got news for you. That's like believing Santa Claus is going to bring you a great gift. It ain't coming. And, those people, I wish you the best. I would love to be wrong, but I don't have time for it. I'm trying to build a movement. I'm trying to build an organization, a community that I can't. It's like building a house. If I'm building a house, I can't explain to you what a hammer is and how to use it. I can't explain to you what a house is. I need you to know certain things and be ready to move on. And that's what the machine relies on in these movements, is that a lot of people come in, are confused, they're ignorant, not ignorant in a bad sense, they're ignorant to how things work. And they should watch this video. it's easy to get co-opted in these small movements because they believe, well, if we just vote for this guy's with us. He believes us, and then he gets in office and doesn't give a shit. Happens all the time. We see it every time. You saw it with both right and the left does it. You saw it with homeschooling on the right, guns on the right, cannabis on the left, even sex work to some extent on the left, police reform on the left. That's a big one. How about that? We had all these rallies and riots about police brutality, and then Joe Biden wins, and we have zero police reform. You got duped. So that's the week. That's the weekly Whitmer this week. It's been a little bit over 20 minutes. I've gone too long. So, if you want to reach out, let me know. If you think I suck, let me know. I'll get a kick out of it. But that's where we are this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't really know what we're talking about next week. I got to figure something else out. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day. As always, you are your own first responder. Make sure you know that. Keep doing direct action. Help your community, help your neighbors, help your fellow man. Don't believe politicians give a shit about you or will do it for you. Also, drink water and lift weights, and don't stress eat like I do and gain a couple pounds. But other than that, have a great week. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys soon. Thank you. Take care.